I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV, episode number 151, coming to you from Alter Ego Comics in Lima, Ohio. We're back with our recommendations for the best comics of the week, as well as a top 5 list that you'll see at the end of the episode. So stick around for that. We'll start with Serenity, Leaves on the Wind, number 2. This is number 2 of a 6-issue miniseries published by Dark Horse Comics, written by Zach Whedon with artwork by George Gente, and it's just so good. It is basically the movie, the series come to life on print. In print. Zach Whedon has really captured the voices of the characters. The story is engaging. The artwork is good. You know, they're building off of stuff that has come before, but also headed in a new direction. And if this plays out the way it's been over the last 2 issues, I really think this is going to be one of the best licensed comics ever. I'm that excited about it. I enjoyed reading the second issue as much, if not more so, than the first issue. So I recommended issue number 1 last month. I'm back to tell you that it only gets better from here. But knowing the Whedon bros, something bad will happen to someone soon, so I guess we should enjoy it while we can. Really enjoying it, though.
No, and I especially enjoyed it because Firefly is really kind of a balancing act. I mean, it's a cast of 9 characters. All right, well, some of them are dead now, but it was a cast of 9 characters. And you've got, Zoe's pregnant with a baby. You've got other characters they're bringing in for the series. They're bringing back some villains and previously seen characters. So it's a huge balancing act to get that in a 22-page comic. And he's doing admirably.
Yeah, this seems to me like Joss Whedon writing and not Zach Whedon. Not that... I don't know anything about Zach Whedon. It could be a pseudonym for Joss Whedon.
Did he write the book one as well? The Shepherd one?
I believe he did. And that's actually, reading this, it was referenced, actually in the letters pages. Read the letters pages of this book. You won't have a dry eye by the end. But made me want to go back and read those 3 original Serenity stories, especially the Shepherd book one.
Next up, my pick of the week is The Wake, number 6, written by Scott Snyder with art by Sean Murphy. And this is the first part of The Wake's journey. I'm sorry, the second part of The Wake's journey. The first part of the second part. The first time for the last time. The beginning of the story told us things set in the present with some flashbacks to the past about a colony of underwater mer people who are rising up, and it's not going to be pleasant for humanity. This part jumps us hundreds of years in the future, and we see what happens when you go to war with an ancient and deadly mer race. And it's post-apocalyptic. It's got echoes of Mad Max. I'm reasonably certain that the main character lives in the Sea Duck from Tailspin. I'm like 45% sure. And it's just really cool. It's neat to see a universe that we've got background in that feels lived in, but is also kind of new and fresh in the middle of a series. And it's got great characterization, which is one of the things that Snyder really excels at. And I'm totally in for the rest of this run.
Yeah, if you recall, or if you want to go back and watch the previous episode where we talked about issue number 5, Snyder really kicked things into high gear to end issue number 5, and that was the beginning of, I think, a 2 or 3 month break in between chapter 1 and chapter 2, and he's back swinging in issue number 6. I really enjoyed it as well.
And if you missed out on the first 5 issues, you can get them all in one reasonably priced volume, saddle bound, in stock at Alter Ego Comics, and catch up to kick off the awesome issue 6 run.
Next up for me is Tomb Raider number 1. This is written by Gail Simone with artwork by Nicholas Daniel Selma, and a great cover by Don Dos Santos, who's just doing a lot of covers for Dark Horse right now. Full disclosure, again, I feel like I'm a broken record at this point. I don't play video games. I played my Atari 2600 when I was a kid, in television, ColecoVision, arcade games when you actually had to go to an arcade, but the newer generation of systems just... They haven't been able to hook me. I know that's weird. I love movies. I love comics. I love TV. Band. I played Rock Band because I like music. But I haven't been able to get into any video games. So I know next to nothing about Tomb Raider other than she's kind of a female Indiana Jones. I know she's of English descent. She had born with a silver spoon in her mouth. I think she comes from wealth or royalty or something, and I could be way off. I don't know. But I know nothing about this character. So that is a testament to Ms. Simone's writing ability to get me interested in this character that I had really no idea what she was. So, to the best of my knowledge, and this comes from reading the back matter in here, which I highly recommend that you do. It's actually an editorial by Gail Simone about why she chose to take on this project and how she almost didn't take on this project. But I believe that this is a sequel to the game, the most recent game. Events that happened in the game, I believe, are referenced in this issue. We see flashbacks, but it is a story that's definitely going forward. And there's a cast of characters that's already in place, but Simone does a great job of educating the reader as to who these people are and why Lara Croft cares about these characters. So I really enjoyed it, and there's a lot of bang for the buck in this issue. I felt like there was a lot of story for a single monthly issue. So you've done it again, Gail Simone. You hooked me with Red Sonja, character that I had no interest in, and now you've got me with Tomb Raider. If you're a fan of her writing on Batgirl or Red Sonja or Birds of Prey or anything that Gail Simone's done before, you owe it to yourself to pick up this issue. And if you're not, if you're just a fan of the character of Lara Croft, this is for you. As someone with no background of the video games. Thank you. Good night.
Next up, over on the DC side, we've got Batman Superman number 8, written by Greg Pak and art by Jay Lee. Lee did the first arc on the series. It was really well received, and the intervening arc between then and now had some odd choices, both in layout and in art, but it's back in true form. If you liked the beginning, the first 2 or 3 issues of Batman Superman, you're going to like this one. And if you're a DC continuity fan, or if you like, let's say, World's Finest or Earth 2 stuff, this is great because we're seeing the first meeting of the Huntress from Earth 2, who is the daughter of Catwoman and Batman, and our Earth's Batman, as well as the first meeting between Karen, the Power Girl.
Karen the Power Girl. That is her name.
That's what we call her now. From Earth 2, meeting our Kal-El in the Superman in the regular continuity. And it was really great. Pak does great characterizations. He gets Batman and Superman down to just a T. His ability to just nail exactly what I expect Batman to do in any given situation and still be fresh and interesting. And introducing them to these other characters is neat because it's not a situation Batman is likely to run into. So the sort of thing that, Batman's always prepared for everything. It's neat to see him in a situation that is very difficult to anticipate that your daughter from an alternate reality might show up one day breaking into your Batcave. So that is part 1 of First Contact, and you can check out part 2 of First Contact right now in Huntress, Power Girl, World's Finest, number 20, written by Paul Levitz with art by R.B. Silva. And this continues the story, picks up right where, this is a true crossover, it picks up right where the Batman-Superman issue leaves off and gets you more into what's going on with Power Girl's powers and why she may be freaking out. And now Superman may or may not be having some power-related issues as well. And it's just a lot of fun DC Comics in a way that we haven't seen in the New 52 because there aren't a lot of existing relationships. This is kind of bringing them back together and giving some more emotional core to the action.
And the Prelude is also available, which was in the World's Finest annual. So.
The annual, yes. Yeah. Well, there was 19 and the annual. The annual is mostly a flashback, but
anyway, it's labeled
to
as
actual
Prelude.
Earth. Yeah, it's a prelude.
All right, another all-new Marvel Now number 1 this week. Fantastic Four number 1, this time written by James Robinson of Earth 2 fame, as well as the Golden Age. The Golden Age, prior to some of his more recent work, I think I identified James Robinson the most with the Golden Age.
And Starman.
And Starman, of course, yes. So it's interesting with him, though, and this is kind of a sidetrack, but there was a period where he just either wasn't doing anything or wasn't being well received or whatever, and now he's back in full force. He's writing for Marvel. He's writing multiple books, All New Invaders, Fantastic Four. He had Earth 2 going on over at DC. He's got his creator-owned book, The Saviors, over at Image. Mm-hmm. So it's great to have James Robinson back on the scene. Artwork in this is by Leonard Kirk. Again, Marvel is killing it with these all-new Marvel Now issues. Regardless of what you think of their numbering scheme and their marketing plans, the stories are really good. And Fantastic Four hasn't meant anything to me in decades, for the most part. I checked out some of Jonathan Hickman's run. I heard it was very good. I just didn't have the time or the inclination or the brainpower to sift through his massive 3-year run on Fantastic Four. To me, Fantastic Four is John Byrne. That's just the way it is. But Robinson does a great job of kind of evoking a classic feel in this book. Although there appear to be many great evils on the horizon with this. Basically, the first issue is narrated by Sue Storm, Sue Storm Richards, who is writing a letter to Valeria, who is now living with Dr. Doom as his ward or something, or some other freaky deaky stuff. I don't know. About how, they should have enjoyed the peace and quiet and happiness while they could, because now everything has gone to hell in a handbasket, and we get little glimpses of that. Reed is a shadow of the man he used to be. Ben is in prison because of Reed's testimony. Johnny is out drinking and cavorting, which is kind of what he did anyway before. And Sue is she just feels lost, and that's kind of the narrative in here. But we get to see more of the flashback stuff of when they were happy, and this was like the last day that they were happy as the Fantastic Four, and then it all hits the fan moving forward. Artwork is incredibly solid. The story is really good. Again, I only have good things to say about the all-new Marvel Now number ones, because it's when it comes down to it, regardless of what number is on the cover and who the creative team is, and whether it's the beginning of a new arc or the beginning of a new series or whatever, the story has to be good. The story has to be there. And I think, at least for this first issue, Robinson and Kirk have brought the story.
I read that book and I liked it, but listening to you describe it, it sounds really depressing. It's like, this was when everything was happy, and then it all goes wrong. It's like, it's like that Randy Newman song in Toy Story. It makes me
it just got me. I can't really put my finger on it. I just think that Robinson is it's so important when you're writing these established characters, as you said with Greg Pak, to capture the essence and the voice of the characters. And I said it with the Serenity book too. And if you don't, things just feel off. So everyone felt like the Fantastic Four to me, but it felt more like the Fantastic Four of my youth, if that makes any sense.
Next up, a sentimental choice for me, Adventures of Superman number 10. This is one of DC's digital first comics that's now seeing the rounds in print, and it's quite good if it's not very popular from a sales standpoint. This issue, we've got a lead story by Derek Friedolfs with art by Sean Cheeks Galloway, as well as a backup by Elder and Ibanez. And the core of the story is Superman. Letters to Superman get delivered to the Daily Planet, where Clark Kent works, and he starts to go through them. And that's really the whole story. I'm sure you can imagine where that goes. You've got the thank yous, the recriminations, the why can't you save me, or will you save me? And it's
Somebody save me.
Yeah. And it's just really, really good. As a classic Superman fan, this just feels like home. It's very emotional and very fun, and you should read it.
Deadwood Class number 2 came out this week by Rick Remender and Wes Craig, and as you may recall, I raved about the first issue. We both enjoyed the first issue, and so I'm just back to say it's still good. A lot of times we don't hit on future issues after the initial number 1, because we want you to check out the number 1, and then you'll decide on your own whether you want to come back and continue with the series. Well, I think it's been about 6 or 8 weeks since the last issue. It's been a little while. So this is a reminder that Deadly Class is still out there. It is very similar to whatever that other book is, 5 for Fighting.
Five Weapons, if you just give it the description, it sounds very similar. Kids at a school for assassins. But tonally,
it's different. Completely different, and that's the great thing about it. As I was reading it, though, I keep thinking that these kids are in school, and it felt a little bit like what's the other Image one that we just talked about? The
School for World Conquerors?
Yeah.
God, that was good too.
Starts with a G.
Yeah, I don't know.
Gladstone's
School for World Congress. Yeah.
Anyway, so a school for assassins, a school for legacies for families who are led, headed up by a mob boss, or a mob boss would be the Yakuza or someone like that. But then you got this kid Marcus in there who's 14 years old, has no heritage, no history of being a member of a crime family or anything. He's just a badass. And it's his first day at the school. Half the school is afraid of him. Half the school wants to test him. And you have your cool Mr. Miyagi, Professor Xavier, leader in here teaching a black arts class. It's very much in fact, they mentioned in here, John Hughes movies, and how a group of them just want to hold a John Hughes marathon and then torch the place while all the kids are in there. So you've got your cliques set up at the school, and Remender's doing a great job, I think, of capturing some of those Hughesian moments from movies like The Breakfast Club or Pretty in Pink or things like that, those movies that came out in the 80s. So as a reminder, it takes place in 1987. One of the cool things about this, again, at the end, the back matter, Rick Remender lists out the playlist for many of the characters, and it's a lot of the stuff I listened to growing up. So sentimental choice for me on this. If you are of age, if you're 35 to 45, I think that you would really dig this. But even if you're younger or older, you should check it out because it's good comics.
And last up for me, we've got Marvel Now, Superior Foes of Spider-Man, the graphic novel. Written by Nick Spencer, art by Larry Lieber? Steve Lieber? Billy Lieber?
Steve Lieber.
Steve Lieber.
Yes. Larry Lieber, I believe, has passed beyond this mortal coil.
It could be in the Marvel files back there. Anyway, this is a story that started out late last year, and you've got basically C-list Spider-Man villains teaming up to be the new Sinister Six, even though there are only 5 of them, and it is brilliant. This is to supervillains what Hawkeye is to superheroes. This is a day in the life. This is real people, real situations. And maybe it's just because we were just talking about
True story. It's the real world, folks.
Yes. Talking about John Hughes, but it does, in some ways, you see that kind of inside stuff where people are being real and emoting, and it's just really great. And it's really probably my favorite work that Nick Spencer's done, which is saying something because he's done a lot of neat projects that tended to get a little convoluted. Morning Glories, I'm looking at you. But this is really, really solid. It's fun and funny, and it's tied into the Marvel Universe, but it's also not dependent on continuity. And, you've got the head of Silvermane being driven around on an RC car. That's all you need.
What more can you ask for? It is.
It is. And it's
awesome.
Actually, it's a great price, $16.99 to check out one of the best new series from last year.
All right, our top 5 this list, and man, did we struggle this week with coming up with the top 5. There's so many areas we could go, but we want to give you your money's worth on this. Oh, wait, it's free? Oh, okay.
Oh, in that case.
We'll just rattle this off. But we're going to go with our top 5 Matt Fraction comics, comic series is what we're talking about. And I guess we'll kick things off with, let's talk about Hawkeye. We'll start with Hawkeye.
Hawkeye came out this week. So
Hawkeye came out this week, issue 15. Remember, issue number 16 came out a month ago. And then it's like 18 and then 17, and I don't know how this is working. But there's some explanation in the back of Hawkeye 15. It's just a very human look at the life of a superhero. And you're talking about a superhero with no powers. I mean, he's kind of sort of Batman. Well, he's more Green Arrow, obviously, with the bow and arrow shtick. But he's a very flawed character. He's not a Clark Kent. He's not a Bruce Wayne. He's not a Tony Stark. He's Clint Barton, Hawkeye. And it's just been consistently good. The artwork is solid. David Aja doing the artwork and the rotating cast of artists that have come in. But when you cut to the chase, it's about Fraction's storytelling ability. And he really, I think, surprised a lot of us. I know he surprised me with Hawkeye coming off of Fear Itself, which was not exactly the best thing in the world. But Hawkeye has been a consistent seller in comic shops across the country, and it's also very accessible to new readers because it doesn't rely on capes and tights, and it's very much. I could see it as a weekly drama TV show. It's very Gilmore Girls-ish. But what do you have to say about Hawkeye?
Nothing. You said everything necessary. It's okay. Brilliant and human and fun.
The Inhumans are in it?
Yes, the Inhumans are in it. Black Bolt is his roommate. The I Smell sitcom.
All right, well, take one that I'm not gonna have any information on. So
okay, let's do 5 Fists of Science.
There you go.
This is going back a ways. This is early Fraction, and in some ways, really solid Fraction. A lot of his more recent successes have been with. Actually, that's not even true. I was going to say with licensed characters, but then you got sex criminals, which is awesome. So what you have is a story set in the back half of the last century, 2 centuries ago now, the late 1800s, early 1900s, and you've got Mark Twain teaming up with Nikolai Tesla against the bad guys that are Henry Ford and the bank guy J.P. Morgan and
still the bad
Edison.
Guy, by the
way. I swear to God, I've read this several times. I read it years ago. It's very cool. It uses a lot of real people, but obviously it creates situations that are not real because they're building giant electro monsters and they're evil plots. But after reading this, it so informed my worldview of some of these people that when I watched The Men Who Built America on the History Channel, I was just angry at J.P. Morgan. I mean, if you watched the show, you would be angry with him anyway, but it was just great. It actually warped reality around his version of these characters. So it's out in trade from Image. It's relatively inexpensive. It's the whole series in one run. That's all there is of it. And it's great. If you like historical stuff, if you like good comics. If you like sci-fi, kind of weird, wacko 1920s death rays, mad scientist stuff.
Kind of steampunkish.
A little bit, certainly, yeah.
And it's probably the hidden gem of Fraction's, back catalog, I would say. A lot of people don't they don't go back that far. They look at his Marvel work or look at his current Image stuff. But
and it's a miniseries. It didn't have a long run like Casanova did.
It was only 3 issues, so it's a teeny tiny collected edition. Yeah. All right. Oh, let's see. We'll go with Iron Man. I'll do Iron Man. This is Fraction's run on Iron Man, which started around the time that I believe the first Iron Man film came out.
Shortly after.
So it was published as a companion and as a draw to people who saw the Iron Man film and wanted to come in and read Iron Man comics. So it was this melding of the movie universe and the comic universe, and it was incredible. It was invincible. it was great. Many of Tony's rogues gallery are in there. We've got the son of Obadiah Stane in there. He's the villain in the first arc. It was being published during Civil War. So you have Tony as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a little while, and then he's on the run.
It's after Civil War.
Is it after Civil War?
Yeah. It's after Civil War. It's before it's before Siege and stuff.
Okay.
It's before Secret Invasion.
Right.
Yeah, because
at some point Norman Osborn is the director of Hammer and he's hunting down Tony Stark. You get a lot of character development on Maria Hill, a lot of character development for Pepper Potts, and it just looked great too. It was drawn by Salvador Larroca, who felt the need to make Tony look like Sawyer from Lost in every issue, which is the only distraction because you're like, that's Sawyer. You're looking at the book, anyway. The nice thing about this, it's available in single volume trade paperbacks, but it's also in these oversized, I don't know what they're called, oversized hardcovers that have 12 issues each, and it's just so good. If there's the Iron Man series that we usually direct people to when they come into the shop and they want to get into Iron Man is Matt Fraction's Iron Man.
Just really good. Let's see. So that was Iron Man. Let's stay with the world of Iron and go to Iron Fist. Now, this is not purely Fraction. This is when Fraction was still kind of growing at Marvel before he had done Invincible a number of years ago. And it started off with him and Ed Brubaker co-writing Iron Fist. And Iron Fist is a character that matters to exactly no one. I mean, yes, we all have a certain amount of nostalgia, but we're talking Heroes for Hire. We're talking 70s Kung Fu movies. We're talking Bruce Lee poster on your bedroom wall. It didn't matter in the modern continuity, and he completely changed that. Brubaker and Fraction set up a version of Iron Fist that both had a grander history. We would see snippets and short vignettes with different Iron Fists throughout history going back thousands of years, and also bringing into the modern era, showing us Danny Rand, a man who's trying to use his family fortune for good, running Rand Industries, which has some parallels to what he did with Iron Man as well. But just really great. And my personal favorite creation that came out of this was Randall. He's a Victorian-era Iron Fist who, rather than dying at the end of his quest or whatever, like most do, manages to live on. And we see him interacting with Danny, and he has his own kind of team of, Avengery sidekicks flying around in a dirigible, and it's just very, I guess, steampunk would be the best way to compare it. But it made them Iron Fist mythos something modern and something appreciable and something awesome. And I hope we see some of it in the new Iron Fist Netflix show.
Yeah, well, we have the new Iron Fist series by Karen Andrews coming out next month, I believe. So we'll see what happens with that. Another note about that is Marvel is now publishing the complete Ed Brubaker / Matt Fraction Iron Fist. So you're getting oversized soft covers containing 12, 13 issues at a time. Great way to experience the series that not a lot of people checked out. All right, we'll wrap things up with the contender, the reigning champ right now in Matt Fraction's writing arsenal, and that is Sex Criminals. So you're talking about Iron Fisting. Oh, Iron Fist.
Oh, yes.
We went to Sex Criminals. Hey-oh. Just such a good book. You've heard us talk about it many times before. It's real. I mean, it's the most real book. We talked about Hawkeye being real, and what else did we talk about being real? I think it was just Hawkeye. But it's we've talked about it so often. I feel like I don't even need to talk about it because we talk about it all the time. But consistent sellouts, 4th and 5th printings for single issues. I'm sure that the first trade is going to be in our bestseller list very soon after it comes out. It's about a man and a woman who find each other, and they both have the ability to pause time when they
climax.
Sorry, we're doing this with customers in the store, so I want to make sure there are no children running around. Definitely not a book for children, for those of you who are adults. And the artwork by Chip Zdarsky is, again, complements Fraction's writing so well. I mean, maybe more so than any other artistic collaboration that Fraction has done. Just so great. And then the letters pages. I mean, we could go on and on about how great the letters pages are. They're as good as the preceding material in the comics. So, first volume is out mid-March, I believe. So if you relate to the Sex Criminals bandwagon, definitely check out the first volume. You will not be disappointed as long as you are not offended by a great many things. So that's it. That's our top 5 list of comic books by Matt Fraction. Hopefully Mr. Fraction does not take issue with us over any of them.
Or do you take issue with us? Let us know in the comments below. Should Fear itself have been on here? Were we wrong? Should we have had his Uncanny X-Men run?
Oh,
Casanova.
We talked about one. I thought we were going to swap out Iron Fist for FF, but
oh God, FF was good.
It will be a runner-up and a very worthy contender. His run on FF, which was very brief, it was only a dozen issues or 16 issues or something like that.
Roughly.
Outstanding.
Just really good.
Yeah. Great writer, great guy, great humanitarian. Yes, so if you have any disputes, if you have any airing of grievances, you may air them below in the comment section, and keep those suggestions coming as far as top 5 lists. We are taking notice, and we will do our best to get to as many as we can, but we're doing this every week, so there's a good chance that we're going to run out of ideas and need to start stealing yours. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.